What do you like? Tell me what you like.
I love the idea of nourishing both our body and our soul.
Welcome to the Nourishing You podcast presented by the National Association of Nutrition Professionals, NANP. We invite you to join Kristen Burkett and Diana Wally as they host experts from the holistic wellness space who will share practical tips and information to enhance your health and vitality. Kristen and Diana are master nutrition therapists and board certified in holistic nutrition with private practices that support their clients as they strive to reach their full potential. If you enjoy today's show, please help us out by commenting below, liking this video, and subscribing to the channel to help us spread the word.
You have to move your body. That's my message. That's my passion.
This episode of the Nourishing You podcast is brought to you by US Enzymes.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Nourishing You podcast. It's a pleasure to have Jodi Cohen with us today, talking about supporting our stress response with essential oils. Jodi Sternoff-Cohen is a best-selling author, award-winning journalist, functional practitioner, and the founder of Vibrant Blue Oils. Drawing from her training in both nutritional therapy and aromatherapy, Jodi has developed a proprietary line of organic and wild-crafted essential oil blends that are now trusted by over 50,000 clients to support brain health, stress, sleep, and autoimmunity. For more than a decade, she's been a sought-after speaker at wellness centers, conferences, and corporations, sharing her expertise on essential oils, brain health, detoxification, and the stress response. Jodi's work has been featured in the New York Times, Wellness Mama, Elephant Journal, and many other respected publications. Her website, vibrantblueoils.com, attracts over 300,000 natural health seekers each year, making her one of the most trusted voices in essential oil education today. Jodi, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Oh, it's so fun to be here. Thank you for having me.
We cannot wait to talk to you. It just even meeting you before we started recording, I was like, oh, our audience is going to love you. So excited. And, it's always so interesting and enjoyable to talk with a fellow nutrition practitioner about unique and perhaps underappreciated holistic tools beyond simply nutrition that can support our health. So to get us started, we'd love to hear a recap of your story and how you came to the holistic field and specializing in amazing essential oils.
Well, necessity is always the mother of invention, right? I thought I was pretty healthy. I had my first child who was super easy, and then I had my second child who was not easy at all. And one day, a friend noticed that his personality changed after he ate something and said, you should take him to see a nutritionist. My brother was on Ritalin his whole life, and it turned out he was just allergic to weird foods. And I had been doing like every parenting class I could think of. And I'm like, I could do that. I've tried everything else. So I took him to a nutritionist who told me to take him off of soy, corn, and dairy. And our big practice with him, we'd be like, look at my nose. He's so ADD, he was all over the place. And the next day after changing his diet, he could look at my nose and he could regulate. And it was like a different child. And I just kept thinking, how did I not know this? How does everyone not know this? Because parenting can be a competitive sport. People are judgmental. They're quick to criticize. I felt terrible about myself because I had that kid who did those things. And suddenly I had this well-behaved child. And I'm like, I have to learn more. So I went back and got a degree in nutritional therapy and was practicing this. And I just started oils. Like when my kids were little, I would literally grind up the supplements, add the applesauce and the cinnamon and the stevia to try to get them to take the supplements. It was a lot of work. But I realized like oils were great because I could add them to the bath. I could rub them on their feet. He wouldn't eat kale, but he never said no to oils. So I had this collection because I, let him smell it and let him pick what he wanted. And then the other shoe dropped. Their dad had always been fairly depressed, and it got to the point where I feared that he might die on my watch. And so I moved him to a residential treatment facility. And I had been doing everything in the house we'd been together 10 years. And suddenly it was like, I knew he was safe and it wasn't my job to keep him alive. And my adrenals were like, okay, it's finally safe to collapse. full adrenal collapse. The kids are 5 and 7. I'm now a single mom. I have a full-time job. I'm class parent. I'm the soccer volunteer, and I can't get out of bed. I would get up with them, make them breakfast, pack their lunch, drop them at school, come back home, crawl into bed, and set the alarm for 10 minutes before pickup. And that was about all I could handle. But it wasn't sustainable. Like, my company was being understanding, but I knew that had a limit. And so I was like, what am I missing? What can I do? And I had been supporting my adrenals, and that helped, but not enough. And at some point, I had gone back and gotten a yoga practitioner degree and was ever so slightly obsessed with the vagus nerve. And I kept thinking, maybe if I go upstream. And so I was like, what is it? Clearly, I've been stuck in fight or flight. Clearly, I need to turn on my sympathetic nervous system, but how? And I read something about a vagus nerve stimulation device, this surgically implanted battery operated device that stimulated the vagus nerve right behind the earlobe on the mastoid bone, where it's most accessible to the surface. And something about that word stimulatory, I was like, oils are stimulatory. And I know they absorb through the skin because, of course, as the mom who's putting stuff on his feet, clove, peppermint, rosemary, some of those are hot and it feels hot and makes your hand red. So it's like, I'm wondering what I could do. So I just started playing and formulated this blend of clove and lime, started topically applying it, and I felt better. And I suddenly didn't need to sleep as much. And I suddenly was less anxious. And I'm like, okay, this is working. And all my friends in the nutritional community are like, what are you doing? So I'm like, it was hilarious. I'm like, oh, here, try it. Worked for everyone. And they kept saying, you really should do something with this. And I kept thinking, well, someone must be doing this. And finally, we had a girls' night at dinner. And they're like, not only should you do something like this, but it's only $200 to be a vendor at the Nutritional Therapy Association conference. And that was kind of my background, like marketing and test marketing things. So I finally went online because I was like, this has to be someone else's idea. And I was really surprised by two things. The first was that no one was really using blends to support organ systems and regions of the brain. And the second was that they made it seem so complicated. I was almost like grateful that I was like barely functioning, because if I'd started with research, I would have felt unqualified and never done anything. So we went to this nutritional therapy conference. I think we had, 6 blends at the time. We made little kits. And we were just like proof of concept. And we sold out in the first hour. So I thought, oh, okay, this resonates. So I had my friend build a website. I would literally fill orders when my kids went to sleep, drop them at school, go to yoga, and drop the packages in the mailbox on the way. And that's how it started.
Wow. Then now you've got the business that you have today and it's thriving. And that's an amazing story. I love that.
Thank you. And I think that the other thing that was so interesting is when I was working with clients, you attract yourself, right? So I would get these super high functioning people that were just stress messes. And they were eating all the right food. They were removing all the wrong food. They were making all the right lifestyle choices. They were taking all the right supplements. And yet, at 5 o'clock, that witching hour, right? They're trying to get dinner ready. The dog is, of course, barking. The baby's crying. The husband comes home and needs help with something. The phone is ringing and it's urgent from your mother-in-law. And no matter what they were doing, they would just lose their mind because there was just too much going on in that moment. And so I started playing with smell. Like, you know all the things to do, but it's hard. Let's just smell. We're just going to smell. You're just going to kind of keep it in your pocket. Maybe you'll topically apply it. And they're like, okay, that works. Because even though I know what supplements, it's too hard. They're in the graveyard, but it smells easy. And it's easy. I can carry this in my pocket and it actually makes a difference. So I can commit to that. And that's what I realized is that I feel like smell is completely underused in healing because of the 5 senses. It's the most powerful. It's critical to survival. We smell food, we smell water, we smell predator odor, and it has, of the 5 senses, the most direct access to the limbic system. It literally, your nose is your fast pass to your brain and to your prefrontal cortex, your executive function. And so if we're trying to help people and we're hitting roadblocks, I really want people to consider smell, both for themselves and their clients.
That's fascinating. So we have a lot to talk about today because I think you just opened up a whole new can for us. It's going to be awesome. Okay, let's get started and let's dig into this a little bit. Jodi, I'm sure you know these statistics, but I just want to preface this with our audience that statistics around the chronic stress response and its relationship to illness, it's just staggering. Recent stats show 70 to 90% of primary care visits are related to stress-induced health complaints. including mental health concerns like anxiety and depression. And chronic stress is one of the strongest predictors of developing anxiety disorders and depression. And people with high chronic stress are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop these conditions over time. So this is a major deal. It's a major thing in our society. And there's probably no one that hasn't heard that they need to manage their stress anymore. I think it just rolls off our shoulders anymore because manage your stress, man. Okay, but we still have life. There's still stress. And so manage stress doesn't really cut it in terms of things to actually do to change what's going on physiologically. So I think the holistic community is getting more nitty gritty now and talking more specifically about things like nervous system regulation and stress resilience versus stress management. So these things are coming more to the forefront for overall health. So if we could start by having you explain to our audience, let's just get a foundation around these terms and why they're so important before we dig into the actual essential oil application there.
I know. I think what people don't realize is your autonomic nervous system controls all of your automatic functions, the things you do involuntarily without thinking about them, digesting your food, eliminating your waste, your immune response, your ability to anti-inflame, your ability to think clearly. Your husband picks a fight, your ability to not pick up the rope and have a tug of war, but actually have a rational conversation. All of that is regulated by your autonomic nervous system, which has two branches. It's designed to keep you alive, right? And so there's that sympathetic branch. Oh, I sense danger. I'm going to allocate resources towards survival, which means blood is routing away from my core, from my digestion, my detoxification, my prefrontal cortex, where I think clearly, to my arms and limbs, so that I can hyper-focus on that danger and either fight back or flee or play dead, freeze, and fawn. And it's only in that parasympathetic branch of the nervous system that you can actually heal. Because when you're prioritizing danger, you're downregulating, deprioritizing everything that's not critical to survival in that moment. And my story, where I had been under chronic stress, how do I keep my husband alive? How do I keep the plates all spinning with a smile so wide and winning so that nothing falls through the cracks? Like that hypervigilance that we all have, whether we're pleasers or just raised to be female in this society, we're constantly so aware of everyone else and how they're feeling that we never get to relax, and there's danger everywhere. And the interesting thing, people use this example of the tiger chasing you down the street. I have never seen a tiger chasing people down the street, but I have had that experience of turning on the news and seeing a school shooting on the other side of the country. And my first thought is that could happen to me. We are such empathetic beings that it's not just the physical danger, it's the emotional danger, the thought-driven danger, the news, whoever is running the country, all of these things that are outside of our control. And then it's also those suppressed emotions. Good girls don't cry or they don't get angry. All these feelings that we didn't really allow ourselves to feel. So we just kind of stuff them down, but they're still there running in the background, making us feel unsafe. So we're constantly feeling like we're unsafe and we wonder why our body isn't healing. And so the key is actually physiologically letting your body know that you're safe. And there are many tools to do this. Breathing is fantastic. Somatic exercises. What I really try to do with essential oils, it's literally your vagus nerve, cranial nerve number 10, longest nerve in the body that most people have never heard of, is the gear shift between danger, sympathetic response, and safety, parasympathetic response. It is the blood-brain connection, connects the brain to the rest of the body, starts at the base of the skull, splits, and is most accessible. If you feel with me behind your earlobe, you're going to feel a little divot. That is where the vagus nerve is the thickest and the most accessible to the body. So even gently massaging it, that helps to activate it. And when you activate the vagus nerve, you stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. You're welcome to walk around rubbing it all day. What I found is that oils, especially stimulatory oils like clove and lime, just topically applying it and then leaving it, it acts like an acupuncture needle. It just stimulates it and then you can go on with your life. But it helps signal safety to your body. And when your body knows that it's safe, it can then prioritize healing and recovery.
Kristen kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier when we were talking about stress, and you mentioned people that are a stress mess, which I love that term. Do you have a point of view on the difference between lowering stress and then being stress resilient?
I think you can do both, right? But as I used to joke, I'm not going to put my kids up for adoption, quit my job, and divorce my husband. Stress happens. It's not like you can avoid stress. Maybe if you're, I don't know, if you have the choice, if you have the luxury of maybe choosing between two jobs, maybe you can choose a lower stress job. Like, I think there are certain choices that you can make. But I also think that certain choices aren't available to us. My second child was a lot. He was hard. I know a lot of moms that have really challenging kids, and we love our children no matter how, whatever package they arrive in. And so what I found is that it's easier to build up your resilience to stress, and that's called parasympathetic tone. The more you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, it's like weightlifting, right? You go to the gym and you're super psyched that you can lift 10 pounds, woohoo! And then maybe next week you can lift 12, and maybe you work up to 15 or even 20. Like, you keep getting stronger, and you can do that with your capacity to handle stress as well.
So that means that we can actually say that stress isn't all a bad thing, because we may be able to learn how to tolerate it better and
Yeah.
even build up that resilience. I think there's an idea mainstream that all stress is bad, but if we got rid of all the stress, we wouldn't be very resilient creatures, right?
It's so interesting. Yes, there's this idea that stress is bad, that inflammation is bad. I think that all of these things, I don't think that we're not broken, right? It's not that there are aspects of our body that are wrong. It's that there are normal physiological functions that have fallen out of balance. So it's not bad or good. It's just a sense of balance, right? It's Goldilocks. Sometimes it's too hot, sometimes it's too cold. Ideally, it's just right. And so I think that's what we're really trying to do, both for ourselves and when people come to see us. We're trying to recognize what is out of balance and how do we help you return to balance in the easiest, most non-invasive way.
You've really explained to us, and I like your terminology around nervous system regulation, so that nervous system regulation is key to building resilience, that stress resilience. So, how can something that seems as simple as an essential oil influence our stress response, that nervous system regulation on a physiologic level? In other words, is there science behind how essential oils can shift our stress response, or is this more about our personal preference? Or talk to us about that.
There's so much science that I wrote an entire book on it, actually. Essential oils to boost the brain and heal the body. Because I was so frustrated that people didn't know this. Like, we forget that most pharmaceutical drugs are derived from plants because plants have medicinal constituents. And so there is all this research that backs up how plants can be anti-anxiety and support us in so many ways. But there are a couple points that I want to make. The first is that there's a ton of research that smell signals safety. In fact, there's this Seattle-based Nobel laureate named Linda Buck who was doing research on kind of olfactory receptors, and she was isolating olfactory receptors to fear. And then she took it one step further, and she said, I wonder if there's anything that would cancel out that natural fear response. And it turned out the smell of rose. Like, that whole thing about stop and smell the roses, there's science to back that up. The smell of rose is really great for regulating stress, especially for grief. It's phenomenal and completely underrated. The other thing that I find so interesting, it's really hard to treat the brain. Like, so much of what's going on right now is we're helping the body, we're healing the gut, we're supporting detoxification, but you can't even do chemo in the brain because it's really hard to get molecules in the brain. They have to be super small and fat soluble. This is why essential fatty acids are amazing for the brain, because they're the right size and shape to get there. And what people don't realize is oils are also the right size and shape. The blood-brain barrier, the brain security system, is thinner in the nasal passageways, and it's a really good way to get remedies, especially healing constituents that you can find in, like, frankincense, which is high in sesquiterpenes, which is really good for oxygenation. It's just a nice workaround. There's a reason people do IVs. If we ever thought about why is cocaine snorted through the nose or anesthesia delivered through the nose, it's because that is the fastest way to get to the brain.
Wow. Are there certain types of scents or specific ones that are more effective than others? I mean, there's kind of
For certain things.
different scents. Yeah.
Well, it's two things. It's yes, there's certain scents. Like there's a reason people like citrus oils, which come from the peel of citrus fruits, because they're very light and very uplifting. And there's a lot of research. People point to neroli and bergamot. There's a lot of research behind that. Those are slightly expensive. I have found that orange essential oil, most people, especially kids, like it. Not very expensive. Great for lifting the mood. The other thing that's really interesting is there's a lot of research about where you apply, like reflexology, and also a whole branch of functional neurology that tells you what nostril to sniff through. Like I used to have panic attacks. I was completely claustrophobic, and it would always seem to happen at the Trader Joe's checkout line. You take the care to like pick out everything your kids like. You're standing in line. It seems to take forever. You all of a sudden feel like you were having a hot flash and a panic attack. And I used to abandon cart, which was like, oh, such a waste of time. And then I learned this great trick that panic attacks are the right frontal lobe, the right forehead being overactive. And so the way you balance that is you smell something, you plug your right nostril, smell through the left nostril. That then stimulates the left frontal lobe, balances the two hemispheres of the brain, and the panic attack goes away. And what's great, like I'd be standing in the Trader Joe's line doing this, and people around me are like, what are you, can I try? Oh, that does seem to help. Not only does it like help alleviate the abandoned cart moment in that moment, but it builds that resilience. It's suddenly stimulating the balance in the two hemispheres. And so I don't have panic attacks anymore. And I didn't really understand this until I was looking at some research. Do you know that loss of smell is the first sign of dementia?
I've read that. That's so interesting.
Well, the reason is if you think about it, the function, if you're unable to smell goes to the prefrontal cortex. That is what controls your mood, your ability to remember things. All of these early signs of dementia are loss of executive function, prefrontal cortex. And just as it's kind of the first sign of a decline, there's a lot of research that smell training can repair the prefrontal cortex and kind of restore function.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
US Enzymes offers probiotic, enzyme, and fiber supplements, delivering results at the client level that are noticeable and substantial. US Enzymes backs their products with a 100% money-back guarantee. They have helpful and human customer service and shipping teams offering ways to save, including 10% off all subscription orders and discounts on volume and monthly orders. US Enzymes also has an affiliate program and strong distribution partners. They head into their third decade of business, still guided by the core values of higher standards, honesty, hard work, and most importantly, helping people.
I know, right? And like for all of these women that are like, my husband's forgetting things, like he lost that word. Start having him smell.
Oh, interesting. Are there specific scents that are better at?
It really doesn't matter. It's personal preference. I was mentioning that kids seem to orange, men seem to like mint, peppermint, spearmint. Sometimes they like more masculine things like cedarwood or sandalwood. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Pick something that you like. It could be smelling your coffee in the morning. Pick anything that you like as long as you just remember to access your power of smell.
I do love that coffee smell.
Oh, doesn't.
It's something. So I have a question. So you've so far talked about smelling the oils and rubbing them on your vagus nerve or feet. You talked about with one of your children. And I know one of my daughters has a diffuser that she likes to use. Is there like a one best way? Does it depend on the oil that you're using? So talk to us about the delivery methods.
There's no best way. It's like how much salt do you put on your food? It's completely personal preference. I am an efficiency gal, so I think less is more. Like it's really interesting. You know how when you're hungry, maybe you're like you're so hungry you could eat your arm, and maybe you go to the restaurant and you order the appetizer and you're starving, so you think, oh, I need an appetizer, I need the entree, I need the side. I'm so hungry, and then the salad comes. And you eat the salad and you're not as hungry, you're satiated. So there is this thing known as smell satiety, which is really interesting. If you hold an oil like 1 inch or 2 below your nose and smell, usually by between 3 to 7 breaths, you stop smelling it. Like you're complete, you're good. You don't need more. And as someone who believes in less is more in efficiency, I'm like, you don't necessarily need to be diffusing it all the time because unless it's like a moldy place and you're trying to cover the smell or something. The other thing that I found is really interesting is like where you apply is almost more important than what you apply. I'm diving deep into this right now, but the idea of using reflex points to topically apply oils, like we have a blend, it's called circadian rhythm. It's great for anyone with insomnia, jet lag, if you're traveling to different time zones. And what it does is it helps stimulate the pineal gland to release melatonin. So for decades, I'd been applying on the top of the head, above the ears, behind the head to try to hit the pineal gland from all sides. I was at this conference and a woman came up to me and she was telling me, this is my absolute favorite. I put all of my clients on it. And I love doing the reflex points on the ankle. So it's on both sides of the ankle bones. I'm like, that's interesting, especially for people that are sensitive to smell. Put it on your legs, you won't smell it. So I've been trying it. Remarkable. Like, I think I use less putting it there and it's just so powerful. So I'm continuing to learn about reflex points and just the power of using it that way.
Are the reflex points related to like acupuncture points or acupressure
Correct.
points?
Yeah, that's exactly what they are, acupuncture points.
Oh, so interesting.
Okay, and then was the reflexology oil, I'm just asking for a friend, the
Yeah.
reflexology oil on the ankles, is that for jet lag? Is that what you said?
You can use it for it's any kind of sleep dysregulation. It's whenever your sleep pattern falls out of balance. Like it could be hormones, it could be that you're traveling to a different time zone.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of red eye flights because I find them to be efficient. So I have all my like sleep hacks so that I land from the red eye and I just keep going.
People are like, what? Whatever she's doing, I want some of that.
Yeah. Well, our circadian rhythm helps a lot. And I always, the light mask and then I wear a neck pillow.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm always cold, so I bring my own blanket.
So coming back to regulating the nervous system and the stress response, given what we've talked about here, are there certain scents, certain blends, certain types of application that you think are more relevant to that particular topic versus sleep or any other?
So, I mean, yes, I can speak to, and again, keep in mind, it's like with everything, when you're putting together a protocol for somebody, it's like this, I'm giving you the outline that you can color within. But if you decide you want to do something else, then you get to do that. If you absolutely love jasmine and that's your smell, then that's what you're using. So what I do for this, I use our parasympathetic blend and I topically apply it behind the earlobe on the mastoid bone. If people are sensitive to smell or if their partner is sensitive to smell, there's also a reflex point for the vagus nerve on the bottom of the feet. We have a chart on our site that I can share with you guys for show notes. So that's my starting point. We also have one that I developed for the adrenal glands that I just put on the low back. That is a little bit energizing. So I do not do that before bed. I do that during the day to lift me up. And then something happened. I was telling you how I crash test dummy myself. I fell into a bit of a dorsal vagal response. And I was like, oh, this is weird. I have no motivation. I want to scroll. I wonder if this is what depression is. And then someone told me like, oh no, that's dorsal vagal. So I made up a limbic reset blend that I'm obsessed with. I also do like somatic exercises. I throw everything in the kitchen sink into everything. But this one, it's been really interesting because people will come up to us at conferences and they'll tell me what's going on. And sometimes when someone's clearly unpacking something very heavy emotionally, if they're about to get a divorce or their kid's leaving for college or their dog died, whatever it is, I just hold this and they're like, oh my God. And they like start crying. They're like, I don't know what that is, but I need it. It's just really nice for letting you release. And then we also have one for a hypothalamus that you can topically apply on the third eye point. Those are the ones that I find really help with stress.
Okay. Which, going back to the whole point of this, improving our stress resilience, being able to regulate our nervous system and finding ways to bring that balance is so important to our health and to help keep us out of those even deeper conditions like anxiety and depression, or even if we're already in those, maybe to help support those as well and bring us back to a lesser state. So awesome. I'm super curious about quality because we see all kinds of things. You can buy essential oil blends at any corner store, and talk to us about that because I do think it's an important piece.
Yeah, and I think that, let's be honest, anyone that's ever had an herb garden knows that it's pretty hard to kill certain herbs like peppermint and basil. I think I'm a big fan of organic. I think that's really important because oils are the concentrated essence of plants. For those of you that don't know, imagine going into the lavender field, like filling a whole large vat with lavender. And then it's not, you don't boil it in the water. You basically boil the water elsewhere and then you steam distill, you put the steam in, the steam lifts the oil out of the plant. And then you go to let the steam cool and oil and water don't mix. So oil comes out one side, steam on the other. So it's really the concentrated essence of plant. So if that plant is sprayed in pesticide, you're getting the concentrated essence of pesticide. So you don't want that. And we work with small farms because I do think about those of us that have a garden or a pet, like how much love we pour into the things that we love. I do think that plants feel love. I think that plants thrive from a smaller, more focused, non-industrial environment. So if you can buy small crafted organic oil, that would be my preference. And the most important thing is it just needs to be stored in a dark container, right? Either a brown bottle. We like blue. I'm Goldilocks on everything. There's one that kind of looks black, but it's supposed to be purple. It's called Miron glass. I think that there's a frequency to the glass that kind of lets the oil in. And I think there's a reason that our sky is blue and our water is blue. So that's the energy I want to put out in the world.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely. Okay, so it's really amazing. I think we're sharing now how essential oils can help shift our state in the moment. But we also know that lasting resilience comes from how we live our lives day to day, maybe incorporating this, but incorporating other practices as well to keep our nervous system regulated. So maybe we could talk about some of your suggestions to create routines and rituals that would consistently support our nervous system over time. It could include essential oils, but maybe some other components as well that you think are important.
I'm a big mover. I mentioned I have dogs and I walk them daily. The other thing that I didn't really talk about is your lymphatic system, which has no pump. It's really like your septic tank, and it can get congested, especially the clavicles, right here by the collarbones. This is where 100% of the lymph flows and where a lot of congestion can occur. And so I do lymph massage daily. I have a 5-minute routine. I have a lymph oil that just makes it easier. I basically topically apply it on the clavicles and the neck. This is also good for anyone who's getting older and is noticing a little turkey gobble. If you drain your lymph, that helps. So topically apply and then just gently brush from the inside out and then down the neck. That makes a huge difference. It also helps if your gums bleed. It just helps to move toxins out of your neck. And one of the things that I didn't talk about, the neck is priority real estate, right? You've got your vagus nerve, you've got your lymph, you've got your fascia, you've got your musculature, you've got your structure. If there's congestion in the neck, say, for example, the lymph is congested, think about sitting in the middle row of an airplane between two linebackers. Good luck turning the pages of your book. If your lymph is congesting into your vagus nerve, it's this thing called vagus nerve infection hypothesis or vagus nerve toxicity, and impedes vagus nerve signaling. So just opening the lymph also helps support the vagus nerve and keeps you really healthy. You want to make sure that the good things can get in and the bad things can get out. Right. So that is a daily practice I recommend to everyone.
And lymph, to do that, like what you're talking about, it's a very gentle motion, right? We're not like pushing down hard.
It's very gentle motion. Someone said if you think about the monetary system, it would be like nickel strokes. Its penny would be the lightest, but I think people can tell. Like you can tell if it's a little congested, and it's almost like if you have a tangle in your hair, you know how to. We have a lot of intuitive knowledge on how to return ourselves to balance.
So just in talking about oils, you had mentioned there's that one you like for sleep. And you also mentioned that you do yoga. So we have a lot of people that practice yoga that listen. So do you have any oils you like for yoga? What about maybe meditation? I think you already mentioned sleep. So yeah, what about yoga and meditation? Anything you like to bring to
absolute favorite. And as a 56-year-old woman, my absolute favorite in general, fascia release. I put adrenal on my low back because that helps with balance and standing, but fascia release, my hips, it's embarrassing. Like when I do the side, just got like my warrior poses, I don't go as low as the 20-year-old neighbors. But when I put this on my hip creases, it's amazing. And also for heart opening, this is so interesting too about women. Like we're so good at giving. We are the best givers, but receiving, if you give me a compliment, oh, I got my dress on sale. We're so good at deflecting, not taking compliments. Oh, no, I'll cook dinner. You don't need to bring anything. It's really hard for us to receive. And that's the back of the heart. And that's why I love this roller bottle. Before yoga, I put fascia release definitely on the back of the heart, sometimes on the front of the heart. We also have a heart blend that's really great for heart opening and yoga, and then definitely on the hips. And then my other favorite trick, 56-year-old knees, no one warned me. I put fascia on the front of the knee and then lymph on the back of the knee because there are lymph nodes on the back. All of a sudden, my kids used to make fun of me. Like, I love to hike. I'm really good at going uphill. I go downhill like a geriatric person. Like, it takes me twice as long, or it used to get down the mountain as it did to go up, because I was so protective of my knees. But now my knees are like fine and I can do it.
You
I
must smell so good. You
I
just
know.
pick being with you.
I like to stand next to me in yoga because they're like, you smell great. Yeah.
I do think there's something to be said for fascia, though. I think that's like another big conversation point coming up more and more, is getting healthy with fascia release and all of that relative to our muscles and overall health. So that may be something else we need to talk about, Diana.
I think so.
It has changed my life because I wasn't really focused on it. And, I think a lot of us have this, we'll sleep when we're dead, we'll stretch when we like, I was a marathon runner for years. Can I tell, like, I'm mortified to tell you how much I did not stretch, and it's caught up with me. But here's the good news. Like, I think as long as you're not dead, you can fix things. No, seriously. I think a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So what about meditation? Is there something that kind of helps essential oil wise, or any other tips?
Yeah, I use parasympathetic, and the one I like is actually hypothalamus on the third eye. And then the other one, I'm a little obsessed with heart math and heart coherence. So I put the heart blend on my heart, because what I'm really trying to do is put my body into coherence. Like, I think that's what meditation is. And I think that the more, sometimes we've got the monkey mind, and my workaround for that is the more I can get in my body, like actually feel safe in my body, the more I'm not hypervigilant in my head. And so I do that by activating my parasympathetic nervous system, telling my body I'm safe, putting my heart into coherence, telling my heart that I'm safe, and then basically telling my endocrine system I'm safe. And so then I'm like regulated, and so I can quickly drop in.
Can you just explain that term a little bit more? Because I don't think we've talked about it on our podcast before, about heart coherence. Yeah.
Roland McCready of the Heart Math Institute has done all of this research, and basically what they found is that the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And if those signals are coherent, then the brain gets, it's almost like a hypervigilance module. The brain gets these kind of safety signals. If the heart signals are dysregulated, and that can be from emotional things too, like heartache or just reacting, the heart takes in everything, then that kind of sends dysregulated, incoherent messages to the brain, and the body can't be in harmony. So it's this idea of top down, bottom up, right? So top down would be like the vagus nerve, the hypothalamus, the limbic system, everything from the brain sending messages to the body. And then body up would be the heart and the fascia basically being in a coherent rhythm and sending those signals of safety and coherence upward. I hope I did him justice. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
No, that was great. So this is going to be a leading question. So I'm sorry. I was going to say, I don't mean to make it a leading question, but it is. So I'm assuming with your training in nutrition and your love of movement and yoga and all of those things, that you see essential oils as something that you would incorporate in a healthy lifestyle. They're not a quick fix. Is that true? Can they be? Maybe they can be.
I mean, the panic attack hack that I gave you, that is a quick fix.
Okay, love it.
So I think they can be both, but my general philosophy on life is you're given this body, you take the best care of it that you can. And you eat foods that are nourishing and healthy. You avoid whatever. We're all going to have ice cream once in a while, but you try to have good inputs and good outputs. And I think oils are a really nice adjunct. The other thing that I think is so nice, I got that Jessica Seinfeld cookbook, and I was oddly obsessed in like making a couple of things. And she was talking about how she really likes frozen fruit. And I was like, that's super valid, because you can't get like fresh fruit year round. And I was thinking oils are a little bit like that, right? Like right now it's unbelievably beautiful in Seattle. So I totally gonna walk around barefoot, but I'm not doing that in the dead of winter when it's like pouring rain. And when it's hard to get nature, it's almost like these are farm to table preserved in a bottle, and you can apply them on your feet and help you ground. You can experience nature year round just through these other tools.
That gave me goosebumps. That is a beautiful analogy. I've never heard that before.
Thank you. And I recommend Jessica Seinfeld's book. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Have to look at that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we could use essential oils just on a one-off occasionally, get some benefit, but maybe we would see more consistency in overall regulation of our system if we had more of a habit application or just incorporated with general life practices.
Well, it's like, are you only going to brush your teeth once? I did that. I'm so good. I'm never going to get a cavity. I think everything is that's making it a healthy ritual. I move every day. I brush my teeth actually multiple times a day. I'm slightly obsessed. And I use oils, multiple oils throughout the day.
I have to say, I'll just personally come out with the Parasim blend is my favorite. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
No, I love it. And we'll have to get you the fascia blend. I swear to God, it's so funny. My dog walker's in her 80s and she's cute. Sometimes she's, oh, my knee hurts. And so I gave it to her once. And she's, I love that. She wouldn't let me give her anymore. She's like my best customer now. She buys me out of stock because it's really, once my husband too, he's a funny one because he likes to be skeptical. So when he's sore, I'll put it on him. He's, oh, you must have just put it on when it stopped hurting. I'm like, yeah, that must be it.
I'm getting that tomorrow. That's
yeah.
I cannot wait. Yeah.
Well, Diana, with the hiking you do, I would imagine that the fascia blend will be really
helpful. Yeah.
The other one, Seattle's not normally buggy, but maybe because it's so hot, it's so buggy. So I was getting eaten alive. So our histamine balance blend, I've been using that on bug bites and it stops the itch.
Oh, that's perfect for the summer. That's great.
I know, right?
Okay.
And he did give me that one. He was like, okay, that one works.
Okay. I have a few clients with histamine intolerance symptoms that really benefit from that blend.
Thank you.
Helps to balance, yeah.
This is a kind of a perfect segue into, we want to know a little bit more, Jodi, if you have any other things you can share about what you do in your life, how you incorporate these practices. You talked about movement, you talked about lymph massage, you talked about your Trader Joe's panic attack hack. Anything else that you can give us? You're so energetic and beautiful and smart. What else are you doing that you can share with us?
Well, I have an anti-inflammatory blend. This is really interesting. My daughter and all her friends love it for acne, and they put it on the bottom of their feet before bed and say that they wake up blemish-free. I'm so dry, I don't really get acne, but I've been playing with that on the bottom of the feet before bed, just for everything, for any kind of inflammation. The other thing I do, and I didn't mention for yoga, my friend Deanna Minnick, who does block therapy, she was talking about getting between the toes. I'm pretending my hands are my feet. And so for yoga, I sometimes at the beginning of the practice, roll on the fascia oil on the back of the toes and then just work it through. I do this before bed too. And what she was telling me is that death starts in the feet, fascia starts in the feet and winds around the toes and winds all the way up through the body. And so the more you can release the tension between the toes and on the feet, I have found it's so interesting because you're barefoot in yoga and I don't quite know how to say this, but I'm better able to grip the mat. I feel like my toes show up in a different way and it almost goes up through the body. It's been really fascinating.
Oh, that's such a great compliment to the recent podcast we did with Dr. Jen Perez on foot health and all of that. I could see how we could then incorporate that with her concepts as well. Yeah.
The other thing I've been doing is this idea of belly button releasing. The belly button's your first scar. And so I've been just doing a little roll around in the belly button before bed. And that seems to help with that really fun menopausal middle. I don't know. I'm throwing a lot at this because it's really not fun, especially now in this bikini season. And this does seem to help.
I'm sure no one can relate to that. Yeah, no, it's not relatable.
Yeah.
Only everybody.
Yeah. I sometimes add gratitude. I apply the parasympathetic and It's so funny because here's the overachiever in me. I'm like, I'm just going to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. And then I'll do the 3 and I'm like, okay, I thought of a 4th. Oh, oops, there's a 5th. Like it's almost once you get the ball rolling, it's gratitude season.
I get in trouble doing that, tend to do it after I get in bed. And then I start that whole thing. And half an hour later, I'm still like talking to myself. And I may have to find a better time of day to do my gratitude.
Yeah, I do it. My morning ritual is I let my dogs out to pee. I make coffee. I feed them breakfast, and then I take them for a walk. And while I don't let myself look at my phone until like I'm back from the walk with my dogs. So I'm in my own head until then.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I could get better at that. Every time I start with my gratitudes, I always end up crying because I'm like, and thank for that. I'm so thankful for that. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Crying is wonderful. Actually, crying is so good for you. No, I'm so serious. I tell my husband this all the time because he makes fun of me that I could cry at a Hallmark commercial, but it's good for you because it's like releasing those hormones.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Myself.
This has been just a great conversation. It's hard to believe that this much time has passed already. Thanks for sharing so many tips with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah, we really appreciate this. Has been amazing. And I can't wait to put in my order.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody checks you out. Can you remind us of your website, where people can go to order things?
Yeah, it's vibrantblueoils.com, and that's our hashtag on everything. And if you were interested in more of the research, my second book is Essential Oils to Boost the Brain and Heal the Body, and it's full of research. That was my goal of let's make sure people know this.
I do think a lot of people believe that essential oils can be helpful, but they don't necessarily respect that there's science behind it. Yeah. And it's more than just a novelty. There's a reason why it helps.
I know people forget that most pharmaceutical drugs were derived from plants, right? Like white willow bark is aspirin, valerian root has become Valium. There's so much research on the medicinal properties. We know ginger is anti-inflammatory. We know peppermint is an expectorant. We just forget.
Yeah.
Well, you're a great messenger for this, and I have learned so much, and I'm very excited to dabble. So please prioritize my order.
Okay, we totally will. We prioritize.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, Jodi. It's been wonderful, and thank you to all of our listeners. As always, we really appreciate you sharing your time with us. And until next time, be well.
To learn more about U.S. enzymes, visit www.usenzymes.com. Don't miss a beat. Find other episodes and subscribe to this podcast on YouTube or check us out on your favorite streaming app. Now available on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. You can also visit nanp.org for more information. Looking for a board-certified holistic nutrition professional to support you on your health journey? Go to nanp.org to get started today. Membership in the NANP provides you with a competitive advantage. Whether you're a current practitioner or a student, we want you to become an active, informed leader of the holistic nutrition community and join our association today. When you're ready to go a step further, you can boost your credibility by becoming board certified in holistic nutrition. Visit nanp.org today to apply. The information on the NANP podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical or legal advice. The NANP is not liable or responsible for any harm, damage, or illness arising from the use of the information contained herein. By listening to the information on this podcast, you agree to defend, indemnify, and hold harmless the NANP and all agents. Copyright NANP, all rights reserved. Until next time, stay nourished.